The execution chamber reeked of ozone and fear. Din Tong stood shackled between two hegemony guards, their obsidian armor gleaming under the harsh crimson lights of Zentyric's judicial spire. Below them, through the transparent aluminum floor, the alien megacity sprawled endlessly, a maze of flowing towers and bioluminescent arteries pulsing with the lifeblood of 1,000 conquered species. Somewhere in that vast urban ocean, humanity's last free ship was burning. "The sentence is death," announced Arbitrator Morvek, his elongated skull pulsing with soft purple light as neural pathways fired beneath translucent skin. The tall, gaunt humanoid's forearms gestured gracefully as he read from the holographic display floating before his oversized cranium. "The charges: conspiracy against the hegemony, violation of the genetic purity accords, and..." His translator struggled with the next phrase, "being demonstrably human." Dean almost laughed. After 18 months of running supply missions to resistance cells scattered across 47 worlds, after watching his species reduced from proud explorers to hunted vermin, this was how it ended? Not in a blaze of glory among the stars, but in a sterile chamber designed by bureaucrats who considered genocide a matter of regulatory compliance. The irony was exquisite. The hegemony had spent 3 centuries building the perfect society, a vast interstellar civilization where every species had its designated role, its genetic modifications, its place in the grand design. The warrior caste Chronari served as enforcers. The hive-minded Zephyrians managed logistics. The psychic ethereals provided guidance from their meditation towers. Everyone had a purpose, a function, a predetermined path from birth to death. Everyone except humans. Humans were the variable that broke their equations. Too aggressive to be laborers, too individualistic to be drones, too chaotic to be warriors, too stubborn to be controlled. The hegemony had tried integration first, then subjugation, then internment. Nothing worked. Humans kept escaping, kept fighting, kept refusing to fit into the neat categories that made galactic civilization possible. So the hegemony had voted, unanimously, extinction. "Any final words?" Morvek asked, his neural patterns flickering faster now, a sign of impatience among his species. Din looked out at the megacity one last time. Zentyrix housed nearly 2 billion beings from across the galaxy, all living in perfect harmony according to their genetic programming. Towers grew like living coral, their biometallic surfaces shifting to accommodate different atmospheric needs. Transport tubes wove between structures in complex helixes, carrying citizens who had never known war, poverty, or uncertainty. It was, by any objective measure, paradise. It was also the most terrifying thing Din had ever seen. He said, meeting Morvek's large silver eyes. "I've got something to say." The arbitrator's skull pulsed brighter what might have been amusement. "Proceed." "You know what your problem is?" Din asked. "You think humans are a bug in your system, a glitch to be eliminated." He gestured toward the window with his shackled hands. "Look at this place. 2 billion souls living in perfect order. No crime, no conflict, no surprises. You've built yourselves a beautiful cage." "Order is the highest virtue," Morvek replied, his thoughts literally glowing beneath his skin. "Chaos is the enemy of progress." "Is it?" Dean smiled, and something in that expression made both guards shift nervously. "Because I've been studying your perfect society for the past 18 months. Want to know what I discovered?" "Elaborate." "You haven't had a single technological breakthrough in over 200 years. Not one. Your art hasn't evolved. Your philosophy is stagnant. Your culture is dying." Dean leaned forward as much as his restraints allowed. "You know why? Because innovation requires chaos. Progress needs rebels. Evolution demands mutation." Morvek's neural patterns flickered rapidly. a sign of agitation. Your species' chaotic nature is precisely why you're about to make the biggest mistake in galactic history, Din interrupted. See, you're right about humans. We don't fit your categories. We're too unpredictable for your models. But that's not a flaw. It's exactly what your civilization needs to survive. Irreplaceable. Impossible. The mathematical projections clearly show. Your projections can't account for the human variable, Din said quietly. And that's what's going to kill you. The chamber fell silent except for the distant hum of the city's biomechanical systems. Morvek's skull pulsed in slow, deep waves. A gesture Din had learned indicated profound thought among his species. Explain, he said finally. 3 days ago, your deep space sensors detected something at the edge of the galaxy. Something big, moving fast, coming this way. Din watched the neural patterns beneath Morvek's skin shift to rapid, chaotic bursts. Your perfect mathematical models can't identify it because it's something your ordered universe has never encountered before. But I can tell you exactly what it is. The readings are classified. It's the Devourers, Din said, and the bioluminescent patterns in the walls dimmed, as if responding to some primal fear. The swarm that consumed the Andromeda galaxy 60,000 years ago, your ancestors' oldest nightmare, thought to be extinct. Morvek's entire skull blazed with panic neural activity. How could you possibly? Because humans have been running from them for the past 50 years, Din lied smoothly. In truth, humanity had only recently discovered evidence of the ancient enemy through archaeological digs on dead worlds, but Morvek didn't need to know that. Why do you think we kept pushing deeper into unexplored space? We weren't exploring. We were fleeing. The arbitrator's composure cracked, his thoughts becoming visible storms of light beneath his skin. If this is true, why didn't you warn you after you declared us pests to be exterminated? Din shook his head. We tried. 3 years ago, human ambassadors approached the Hegemony Council with evidence of the threat. They were executed as fearmongers and warmongers, which was also mostly true. The ambassadors had been executed, though for entirely different reasons. The Devourers don't follow your rules, Din continued, pressing his advantage. They don't negotiate. They don't assimilate. They consume everything. Matter, energy, information, and they adapt faster than your models can predict. To fight them, you need something your perfect society has systematically eliminated. What? Morvat whispered, his skull dimming to barely visible flickers. Chaos, unpredictability, the ability to think outside predetermined patterns. Din met his gaze steadily. You need humans. The silence stretched for long moments. Finally, Morvek spoke to his neural interface in rapid pulses of light. Din caught fragments. Emergency protocols, council convocation, threat assessment. The council will decide, he announced. Until then, your execution is postponed. As the guards moved to escort him back to his cell, Din allowed himself a small smile. He'd bought humanity time, maybe weeks, maybe months. Enough for the real plan to unfold. Because there were no Devourers coming, at least not yet. But somewhere in the lower levels of Xentarix, in the forgotten maintenance tunnels where the city's discarded citizens scraped out a living, Sarah Okafor was putting the finishing touches on a virus that would introduce chaos into every networked system in the hegemony. Tomorrow, when it activated, traffic would reroute randomly, environmental controls would fluctuate wildly, and communication networks would carry impossible messages. Nothing dangerous, nothing that would hurt anyone. Just enough chaos to prove Din right about what the galaxy really needed. 2 weeks later, Din stood in the same chamber, but everything had changed. The virus had worked perfectly. For 3 days, Xentarix had descended into beautiful pandemonium. Transport systems had created new routes that were actually more efficient than the old ones. Environmental fluctuations had triggered evolutionary adaptations in the city's living architecture, making it stronger and more resilient. Artists had started creating works that no algorithm could have predicted, while philosophers began questioning assumptions that hadn't been challenged in centuries. Most importantly, the chaos had forced different species to work together in ways their rigid caste system never allowed. A Chronari warrior had collaborated with an ethereal psychic to solve a traffic problem, discovering new applications for their combined abilities. Zephian logistics specialists had learned to improvise, becoming more creative problem solvers. Even the uptight governing council had started making decisions based on intuition rather than pure data analysis. The hegemony's productivity had increased by 30%, innovation indices were climbing for the first time in 2 centuries, and when the devourer threat had turned out to be nothing more than an unusual asteroid formation, nobody seemed particularly concerned about the deception. They were too busy discovering what their civilization could become when it embraced the impossible. "The Council has reached a decision," Morvek announced, his neural patterns now displaying colors Din had never seen before. New thoughts, new possibilities. Humanity will be granted full citizenship within the hegemony, with the designation of Chaos Catalysts. Your people will be integrated into every department, every world, every aspect of our society. Din raised an eyebrow. "As equals?" "As necessary partners," Morvek corrected. "Your species will serve as the random element that keeps our civilization from stagnating. In exchange, you will receive protection, resources, and the opportunity to help guide galactic development." "And if we refuse?" Morvek's skull pulsed with what Din now recognized as amusement. "After witnessing what your chaos virus accomplished, I doubt many would want to return to the old ways. Your friend Sarah has already been offered a position as Director of Systemic Innovation. She accepted." Din laughed, a sound that would have been impossible in the old sterile hegemony but now seemed to harmonize with the city's new chaotic rhythms. "So, we went from extinction to essential in 2 weeks? Evolution is rarely predictable," Morvek replied. "Perhaps that's why your species is so adept at it." Through the transparent floor, Din could see Zentorix transforming. The rigid geometric patterns were giving way to organic curves and spirals. New types of architecture were sprouting. Impossible structures that shouldn't have been stable but somehow worked. Citizens from different species mingled freely instead of staying in their designated zones. It was still paradise, but now it was a living, breathing, changing paradise. "There is one condition," Morvek added. "We require a human representative on the Hegemony Council, someone who can provide the chaos perspective when needed." Dine grinned. "I suppose I could do that, but I have a condition of my own." "Name it." "No more execution chambers. If you're going to embrace chaos, you need to get comfortable with uncertainty. That includes not knowing exactly how problems will be solved." Morvek's neural patterns shifted into configurations that suggested deep consideration. Finally, he nodded. "Agreed. Though I suspect we'll need to build larger meeting halls. Productive chaos appears to be quite energetic." As they walked out of the chamber together, no longer prisoner and judge, but partners in an impossible experiment, Din reflected on the beautiful irony of it all. Humanity had saved itself not through strength or technology, but by proving that survival required more than perfection. Sometimes it required the courage to be beautifully, chaotically, unpredictably alive. Outside, Zenterix pulsed with new possibilities, its bioluminescent arteries carrying not just nutrients and information, but hope, innovation, and the endless potential that came from embracing the unknown. In the distance, ships from 100 worlds were arriving to see the miracle for themselves. A perfect society that had learned to love its imperfections. The human variable had become the galactic constant. and the universe would never be the same. Many thanks to my channel members and Pathfinders. You all make these videos possible. Thank you for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. Video shares, memberships, and super thanks help the channel grow as well, so feel free to partner with this channel in that way as we grow. With that all said, thank you again for listening to the story, and thank you for your time. On the left side of your screen are some videos I think you might be interested in. I hope to see you in the next one.